Allah, dear friends. Today is our seventh story, which I want to call it choice. When we were young, we had, all of us, I'm sure you had the same thing, we had wonderful relation with birds, with nature, with birds. We would see them all over, from canaries to sparrows and pigeons and doves and all sorts of birds. We could see them, we would enjoy them, we followed them. We were so, every year at this season, we would discover that they are making a nest in front of, at the top of the roof drain or attic or on such and such bush or tree, and with lots of enthusiasm would report regularly to our mother about the development, whether there are new chicks there, and when they come out of the eggs, and all of that, what is happening. They are developing feathers, they are doing that, they are doing that. But as we grow older and we get deeper and deeper involved in what I want to call it nothingness of life. In fact, this word is used by Abdul Baha also. We do not see these things anymore. They are there, we don't see them. I don't know. I ask myself, what happened to all of the doves? Where are they? When was the last time you saw a dove? It seems you think that they are not there, but they are there. Believe me, one day I thought about that, and right on that day I saw 4 doves. And they are there, but we don't see them. And the same thing is really with the nightingale of paradise that exists in this world, and the people of the world are blind, and they are wrapped with their nothingness, and they don't see it. So recognition of the cause of God is not the most successful thing these days. In these years that the events of Iran was happening, and so many of our friends were getting killed, and such injustice and really brutality is happening in our country, in my country, my birthplace. And when I see the suffering of the Baha'is over a period of all of these years, 170 years now, and read the books that are out about it, I often question myself that, what if I was not born Baha'i? What would I have done? Would I be an enemy of the faith? Maybe. Would I be born in a religious family that they hate Baha'is, they are ignorant about their sufferings, they cause their sufferings, and all of that? Or I would have recognized the Baha'u'llah myself if I was not born Baha'i. It's a very important question, and we never find the answer for that. Never. Never. It's quite possible. Many of those absolute terrible enemies of the faith, they are no different at all with me. They are ignorant, they have just not recognized the faith. And if they are not doing harm to the faith, they are silent about it. They are silent. They see. You think 40, 50,000 Baha'is have been killed. You think our fellow countrymen in Iran, my fellow countrymen, did not see it. All of them, they see it. They saw it. They have seen, they have read about it. But they close their eyes. They're silent about it. Like the same millions of people of the world that they witnessed Holocaust, and they were silent about it. Now, my father was born in a very religious family. Before he knows his father died. I guess it was the first cholera of the century that killed him. Then he was very young, maybe 7, 8 years old, that one day a second cholera came to our city. One day when he went home, he saw his mother has developed cholera and people are crying and she's dying. So he was really crazy. He ran to the shrine of Imam Reza, the 8th Imam of Iran, of Muslims, and the most holy place of the country, where he knew it as one place that you can go and talk to God. So he ran there, and he was just crying and praying and shouting, and there was such a crowd in that day because of all the people suffering of cholera that in fact killed hundreds of thousands of people at that time. But and next day, one of his relatives found him unconscious at the shrine, somewhere near the shrine. He was maybe fell asleep or was unconscious. He was there. So this man just carried my father, this young boy, to home, and when he reached home, he saw that his mother is seated in the bed and is drinking something. So he believed from bottom of his heart that a miracle happened and Imam Reza saved my mother. Because of that, he became a very staunch, even more staunch believer, Muslim. And as far as I remember as a Baha'i, but later on when he had become Baha'i, when as a child I went with him to the shrine of Imam Reza. That was a holy place in our city, and it was a very nice place. I would love to go there as a child. He would often cry at the shrine, and or in the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, he would cry because at the bottom of his heart, he had that really Islamic tradition in his heart. Anyhow, imagine he grew up when he was he had married, and he was in his 20s. He had married and he had one daughter. When he learned that his half brother, that was his brother from the mother side, and his father had died in the previous events in Iran, and then later on my grandmother married his father. He learned that his brother Sayyid Reza, that had gone to Russia at that time, this was at the time of Tsar, before revolution, he realized that he was told that he had become Baha'i. Of course, they used to say Babi at that time. He has become Babi. He was so shocked and so really saddened that he decided that he should go to Russia, either force his brother to recant or kill him, because he has really damaged the name of the family. His parents are going to go to hell because of him, and it is his duty to go and settle this issue. So, knowing that if he goes home and talk to his wife and daughter, they may not let him go, without telling anybody, without informing them, he joined. At those years, there was borderline between Iran and Russia was open. People would walk through. There was no visa, there was no passport, and they would go. I mean, of course, hardly people would dare to go because of the dangers and all of those things. But if they wanted to go, he would go. So he went with a group of either smugglers or whoever they were to Russia. On the way, straightforward to go and make his brother to behave himself. So as he was going there, he was every night, as it was tradition, he would go to a mosque. He would go to a mosque and for prayer and all of that. And at the end of the talk of the mullah, he would raise and ask a question. He would ask a question. He would say that, I know that Baha'is or Babis are bad, they are untouchable, they are this and that. However, I just want to know what is wrong with them. Can you tell me what is wrong with them? I know my brother has become Babi and I want to go and I'm going to go and force him to recant or I will kill him. But before that, I want to know what is wrong with them. Can you tell me? And not all of these mullahs, they would say you have to go and wash your mouth and you have become, even mentioning their names is guilt, and they are infidels, they are heretics, they are untouchable, this and that. And they wouldn't answer his question. Then he would continue to the next city, next city, next city, and they were walking at that time, of course, you know that passing. There was no, by the way, I forgot to tell you that they did not have at that time even birth documents. So we never know when my father was born. He said that he believes that his mother and other sister have told him that he was born at the beginning of the Christian century. That means 1900. So we took it that he was born in 1900. But with no document, nothing, nobody knows. That was the day at that time. That was it. At best, your parents would write your name and birthday at the cover of Quran or the first page of Quran and record. That's it. But anyhow, this way so he started traveling, and one night as he was asking this question in one of the mosques, there was a Baha'i in that mosque. His name was Sayyid Hussein Zargar. Later on, sorry, not Sayyid, Hussein Zargar. Hussein Zargar, later on, we knew these things. Anyhow, this Hussein Zargar heard my father that he wants to go and kill his Babi or Baha'i brother. At those years, Baha'is were very, very serious. They were not like us. Abdul Baha says if you understood that somebody is interested on the other side of the world to know about the faith, it is your duty to drop everything to go there and teach it. Of course, this is not relevant for us these days because we don't do those kind of things. But this Hussein Zargar was one of those dedicated Baha'is. He had wife and children, but he stayed in the mosque, came to my father and said that, yeah, you know, I'm also interested about this question, but I don't know, whenever I've asked, nobody has answered to me. What are you going to do and this and that? And my father said, I'm going to, so he said, can I join you? I come with you. Imagine, he had wife, the children, he had news without anyone, he says, I come with you. So my father said, of course, let's go. He was also more or less same age of my father, young man. They started together and they went from one city to another asking the same question from mullahs, and they would say, all of them would say, no, 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 go and wash your mouth and this and that. Eventually, one day, Hossein Zargar told my father that, look, it seems they are not going to answer our question. I suggest we go to a Baha'i and ask him what the hell is wrong with you. My father said, no, 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 no. They told me that they are going to give you something, you are going to this, and they will I don't know, they have some special words and verses that they read, and you will change your mind and this. Hossein Zargar told him, look, we are two young men, strong and very crazy. So we go together, we go to that place, I watch you, you watch me. We don't eat anything, we don't touch anything, we don't sit. Just we ask this question and we come out. My father said, okay, let's do that. So they said, who is a Baha'i or Babi in this place? Somebody said, oh, that so-and-so on that corner of the market, that shop belongs to a Babi. So they came to the shop, they waited and waited till the shop was empty. They told the man that, are you a Babi? The man was shocked. He said, what? He said, yes, I am a Baha'i. What do you want? They said, we want to know what's wrong with you. He said, I don't know. You tell me what's wrong with me. I don't see anything wrong with me. He said, no. Why you are untouchable? Why you are... Then they said, do you hate Quran? He said, of course not. What is this nonsense? He went and brought a Quran covered with a beautiful cloth, kissed it, and said, this is Quran. Quran is the word of God. Why I should hate it? He said, are you enemy of Muhammad? He said, of course not. Muhammad is prophet of God. Muhammad Rasulullah is prophet of God. They said, what about imams? Do you hate imams? He said, no. They're children of prophet. Why we should hate them? They said, it's not possible. So, what is wrong with you? He said, well, sir, if you want to know about what I believe and this and that, you can come to my home, we can talk about it. They said, no, 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 bye-bye. So they went. They went to the next place, again the same thing. They said, they went to another place, they asked these questions. And they started, finally, they said, let's go to this. They sat with several Baha'is on the way, and they talked, and they never drank a tea, they never ate any date, and nothing. They didn't touch a sweet, and they argued and they listened and went on and on and on, and they're traveling. One night, my father could not sleep. He was talking. He told Hussein, asked him that, what is wrong? He said, I think there is a truth with these people. He said, what do you mean? They gave you something. You drank something. He said, you didn't watch me? You were responsible. I didn't touch anything. I didn't read anything. He said, no, no, no. Something. He started abusing and cursing and this and that. He said, no, listen to me. He said, no, they are infidels. He said, how they can be infidels? They believe in God. They believe in Muhammad. They believe in Quran. How they can be infidels? I don't understand. Anyhow, they went back and argued, and whatever he asked, my father answered based on the questions that he has heard from the Baha'is. At the end, Hussein told him, look, I did my best to stop you from believing this message. Am I right? He said, yes. He said, did I say anything in favor of the Baha'is? He said, no. He said, okay, now I want to tell you, I am a Baha'i. I just came with you to protect your brother from you. That's all. Now that you have become Baha'i, my poor wife and my children, they think I'm dead. They think I'm lost. I have to go. Bye-bye. He went back. And my father continued. My father became Baha'i by the time that he reached to his brother. Now, together they served the faith a lot. My uncle's life is very dramatic. I have written it in the book, in the Years of Silence. He stayed, both of them, my father and my uncle, they were sent to Siberia. After years of Siberia, they allowed them to go, but they have to go back to Iran. And my uncle, but they had choice to stay in Siberia if they wanted. My uncle said that because beloved guardian has said that you stay till you are forced, and I'm not forced right now, so I will stay in Siberia. He stayed in Siberia till end of his life. He was one of the greatest teachers of the faith there, and several assemblies was made in Siberia at that time by him. He was there. He had 3 children, and his wife was Russian. They were in Iran with our family. I knew them very well. My cousin was, my older cousin was 10 years older than me, maybe even more. They were young. So one day they came to our home. This was at the time of Khrushchev, they came to our home and they said that they have decided to go to see their father in Siberia. So we said goodbye. They left to Siberia. But when they went there, before they reached to my uncle, the news of the arrival came, and my uncle was so excited that he had heart attack and died. So he could not see his children. And the government of Russia did not allow his children to come back to Iran because he said, your mother was Russian, your father died in Russia, and all of his life was in Russia, so you are Russian. We never heard from them anymore, gone. And anyhow, and my father, so now the wife of my father, that was a Muslim, my father sent a message to her and said that he has become Baha'i, and he wants them to join him in Russia, and they refused to go. They demanded, she demanded that she should be divorced, and anyhow, they separated, and many years later, my father married my mother, that was daughter of Sayyid Mehdi Gul Parigani. Sayyid Mehdi Gul Parigani is one of the most distinguished Baha'i scholars, the nephew of, the first cousin of Abul Fazail Gul Parigani, and became Baha'i because of Abul Fazail. And they were very, and anyhow, their life was there till they come. And then my father came to, after years in Siberia and all of that, came back to Iran and was in several places of pioneering, and then he died. But he died in Canada because at the end of, after revolution, his life was in danger, and not to go at the very old age again to prison. I arranged a way that he can get out of Iran. And he came out, he came to India, and then he went to Canada. He died in Canada at the age of 90, and the House of Justice wrote a beautiful letter for his passing to the National Assembly of Canada and to me, and mentioned that how sad they are from his passing. And then they said, I'm translating it, his patience and steadfastness in years of service, service and hardship in the path of the blessed cause was praiseworthy. His devoted services and sacrifices for the cause of God in Russia and Iran will not be forgotten. Anyhow, this was the story. And that is the way that when he came back from prison, from Siberia, me and my sister were born, and that is the way that we became Baha'i. We are Baha'i. So we never have the blessing that to say that we found the Baha'i faith. our father found the faith, and that is what we owe him. Now I want to, so this is really the whole story of choice. Now, I go back to my stories of India. In India, but it will be on the same subject. There was on early arrival to India, I met a man. His name was Mr. Gupta. Mr. Gupta is a very common name in India, of middle class and he was professionally, he was a painter, building painter, and he was a very nice man. Spoke very bad English, very little, but he was very calm, very nice, peaceful, and very distinguished. He dressed always like traditional Indian, complete white, and but he was a very quiet and very warm person. Often would come to meet me because he was looking for work and painting and this and that. And whenever I had a painting work, I would ask him to do that. He was very particular, not like typical Indians. He was very particular and precise and fussy. So I was satisfied with his work very much. He always, from beginning of the work of the temple, would come to my room and would say hello and talk to me. And I often gave him some work here and there. Several times we had to paint the Baha'i Center and also some of the all of the ancillary buildings and offices and all of the sections, because the temple itself is not painted. It's exposed white concrete, but the buildings, offices, and residential area and library and other those areas, ancillary buildings, are painted. So he was doing that work for me, and I often work with him, talk to him, and he was a very nice man. And he looked like a Baha'i, really. I mean, we never, throughout these years, several times we talked about the Baha'i faith and all of that, but for me, I mean, he was there, and I thought he's Baha'i in many ways, and it was not my intention to try to convert any of the workers there, because it would cause difficulty in work of political situation for us. We were very kind and friendly with all of the religions. Anyhow, he was there till we came to almost the last year of the construction, 1 year before the completion of the temple. At this time, the issue in my mind was the benches or the seats at the temple. What we are going to do with that? Because India is hot. People are always wet and sweaty. So they come. You cannot have chairs like the chairs at the temple in Chicago with upholstery and with cloth material and all of that, because you are wet, the chair will be wet. In 1 month, you have to throw it out. And people, they come one after another, they sit on the same chair, and it becomes, so the chair should be tough and washable. You should be able to wash it. So our only choice was wood. Wood, and I don't know. To paint wood in India, no paint will stay in place. Every year you have to repaint. It will become ugly. It will become dirty, like that. And so the only way was that we use, and also wood is eaten by termites, and India is heaven of termites. I mean, I'm sure that more than whatever billion population of India, we have 10 times more termites in that, because even I put some posts for the fence at the beginning of the construction. We put posts for the fence. 2 months later, all of those fences collapsed because termites, they ate it for just fun. Anyhow, this situation, so what can I do with this? So it's, I was just constantly thinking about that. I didn't like when you go to the temple, to the churches in the world, the churches are all dark and the wood is dark, brown, dark. It's like, it reminds me of funeral homes. It's sad. I don't like it. And the temple of India, and of course the churches are full of woodworks and huge doors and windows and all wooden. And inside the temple, we do not have any wood whatsoever. Because first of all, wood, the only wood you can use in India is teak wood, because the teak wood cannot be eaten by termite. Teak wood is now forbidden. It's very difficult. At that time, still we could use it. Because it's very rare wood, and for protection of the teak trees. At the moment, they don't let it. So what I should do to avoid this situation that you come in and see all of these dark wooden benches, and we had at least, I don't know, 350 benches that 2 or 3 people sit on that, each one. So you can put, if I put these chairs there,
Yep.
Yes. Now, Amateur Bauri Khanum once came to the temple during the construction, and several times she came, but that time I consulted with her. I said, Khanum, what is your opinion about these chairs, benches? She said, of course, it should be clean, it should be washable, it should be hard, it should be tough, so it's wood. I said, Khanum, but I don't like this brown wood and all of that. And I said, what do you think? I love, because the floor of the temple is white marble, and the arches are white marble, and the rest of it is white concrete. What if I use marble, white marble? And Khanum said, Khanum had a very beautiful, interesting Persian way of saying things. She said, Fariboz, baraye rezay Khuda. She said, for the sake of God, who wants to sit on a cold stone at a temple? Anyhow, then I really thought, you see, the temple is white like this. It's all white. And now if I put right at the middle, I put all of these benches, brown, dark, it's not nice. I thought that, you see, this marble looks like water. I thought to myself that if you have the benches, white marble, same marble, white, shining, glossy, and it looks like water, and then I have the back of the benches like waves of water, and we put some lotus shapes, decorative elements at the back of these things. It will look like there is a lake, and lots of lotuses are floating on the marble, on the water, and it will be nice. It will be nice. Like, I don't know if you have been in Kashmir. Kashmir was a beautiful place, really, heaven on earth. Unfortunately, because of the political situation right now, it's not the best place to visit. You cannot visit it. But at that time, we could see, there are architecture and landscape of the gardens of Kashmir is heaven. So I said I want to create spirit like the Negin Lake. On Negin Lake, in special seasons, you just see hundreds and hundreds of thousands of lotus floating. And that was my aim to do this. So I was thinking of something like these waves and then lotus at the middle, and the floors are all white marble. And so when you see, when you look at the temple, it just looks like waves of lots of waves at the temple. And this was the concept of the design that we did. And now, unfortunately, I didn't have the best slide, because I could take a slide at the temple when there is nothing on it that you could see. You can see all of the top of the benches are white, and these waves and this lotus hanging on it. And so I used whatever photograph I had. So you have to forgive me. And look at that now. When people, they come to the temple, you can just see these things, and the temple is, when temple is empty. I wanted to show you, I will show you temple with lots of people, but this one is empty. This one is, by the way, this is Her Royal Highness Margaret, the Crown Prince of Romania, granddaughter of Queen Marie Romania, with his husband. And I was also there, and they had come for private prayer. So I want you to focus on the benches. You can see that all of the wooden elements are very minor, but they give you this impression of waves. And of course, when the temple is, this is when temple is full. Look at that. I mean, we have always problem with that. But when the temple is empty, you have this whole atmosphere. You can see these arches of marble, and you can see the whole atmosphere. And this is it. So, now what I do, I have 3 months before, I had 3 months before the inauguration, by the time that my design, and we made so many models and dummies and all of that, and we approved that, we back and forth, and all of that. So now we want to build 350 benches with marble at this short span of time. We needed almost 100 carpenters, furniture makers to do that. If I wanted to give it to a contract, I mean, you can never trust any contractor what's going to do, but I wanted to do it at the temple under our own supervision and see what will happen. Now, how I get these people? One day, this Mr. Gupta that I told you was at the temple. Well, they're talking. I told him that, Mr. Gupta, I have to find 100 workers, 100 carpenters, and this and that. And Mr. Gupta is painter, as I told you. He told me that, Mr. Sahba, I have a friend, he knows lots of carpenters. I can get carpenters from Punjab for you. I said, can you find some? And this, and a few days later, a carpenter, Sardarji, came and said that I can guarantee that I will bring carpenters, and we finished these benches in 3 months. We built them at the temple. Okay, for me, if I wanted to give it to a contract, it was very difficult. And so I told Mr. Gupta, that Mr. Gupta, first of all, I don't want to employ 100 carpenters, because that when I will get involved with union and this and that, and India is dangerous. I don't want to employ direct. So I want you to be the contractor. He said, I can do it. He said, I will be the contractor. I will bring the 100 workers, carpenters. You give the material. I bring the material, because the teak wood of that quality, only we could get it, because we had good relations all over the country for years. After 10 years of working and suffering in India, we had even at the time when Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, the Prime Minister of India, son of Mrs. Gandhi, wanted to build his cultural center in her name. They consulted with me. They asked questions where we can find the people and all of that, and they acted accordingly, because they knew that we know about the best quality of everything that is available, because we had worked so thoroughly all over India to find these things. Anyhow, so I said, okay, I supply the material for you. We season it. Material in India, it should be wood, should be seasoned artificially, and then it should be treated and all of that. And then you bring carpenters. And I will calculate, because I don't have time and I don't want to negotiate with you and bargain all of that about prices. You do this work and I will contract everything. I keep 1% to keep the records. How many workers, how many hours, how many laborers. And based on that, we pay on account, we pay money. And at the end, we will settle everything, that how much we owe you. And we give you this money plus, for example, 10% for your fee, because you have done this management. He said, okay, agreed. We started the work. We had one young boy, Mehran, that I asked him that it is your responsibility to record everything. Every day, regularly, record yourself. And Gupta also is going to record everything. So we compare and we settle. Okay. Anyhow, this matter closed. Gupta, the workers started, and it was a real nightmare. Day and night, they work and work and work and work. And the benches were ready. And one by one, we would move them to of course, the marble also was supplied by me, by us. We brought it from the same marble that was used for the building. And all of that, and they were working on that. So now the work was completed, and the temple, and the inauguration happened with majesty, a magnificent event. All the people, they came, 10,000 Baha'is from all over the world. Among these Baha'is that they came, there was one Mr. Dr. Enayati, that many of you know him from Germany. He had come to temple for inauguration. Few days earlier, he had come to temple, and he was there. And Mr. Enayati, those that they know him, he takes only 5 minutes to wait till the time that he starts teaching the faith to that person. And just after 10 minutes, he will say, have you heard about Baha'u'llah? And all of that. Anyway, he's world famous for that. And he had taught so many people. He passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago. He was a wonderful soul. And his family, all of them are very successful all over the world. Wonderful teachers, wonderful pioneers, all of them. And he was there at the temple, and in one occasion he had seen Mr. Gupta. Mr. Gupta, as I told him, was very typical Indian, so anybody would say, and he was smiling face, so Mr. Enayati wouldn't spare him. He went to him and he said, how do you know, what are you doing here, and this and that. He said, I'm a contractor, I'm working here, I work for Mr. Sahba. He said, and then he just somehow said that how much he loves the Baha'is and this and that, and Mr. Enayati told him, why you are not become Baha'i? You work so much for the Baha'is. Why you didn't become Baha'i? He said, I didn't know that I can become Baha'i. He said, why not? Here, just sign this paper, you are a Baha'i. So Mr. Gupta signed the paper. Next day, they told me that Mr. Gupta has become Baha'i. You're a contractor. Of course, 3 other contractors at the temple during the same period became Baha'i. Anyhow, now we went through the inauguration and all of that. 1 month after inauguration, then I had time to sit and settle my accounts with the rest of the money with Mr. Gupta. I told him that come and sit with Mehran and give me the calculation. So Mr. Gupta, one day, the door of my office banged open and he came in red face. Red, bloody red. He's so angry. Mr. Sahba. I said, what's wrong, Mr. Gupta? Please sit down, relax. Sit down, tell me, what's wrong? He said, am I a Baha'i or not? I said, Mr. Gupta, who am I to tell you you are a Baha'i or not? I cannot tell you that. Only Baha'u'llah knows who is Baha'i, who is not Baha'i. It's not my job to say, and nobody can tell you, you are a Baha'i or not. He said, Mehran tells me, I don't know if you are a Baha'i or not. I said, now before I tell him this, I told him that I cannot tell you that you are a Baha'i or not. But one thing I can tell you, you were selected by Baha'u'llah, and I was not selected by Baha'u'llah. I became Baha'i because I was born Baha'i. But you say that you yourself decided and signed and you said you are a Baha'i. So Baha'u'llah himself chose you. But Baha'u'llah himself did not choose me. So in my opinion, one way or another, you are a better person than me. Because at least you can be sure that Baha'u'llah loves you. I cannot be sure. But he said, why Mehran says that? I said, what has happened? He said, we are discussing our accounts. We have 95,000 rupees difference. 95,000 rupees is about, say, $10,000. $10,000 difference we have in total accounts. And I'm telling him, I told him that, Mehran, my accounts are thorough. I have recorded everything carefully. And when he says, no, my account is correct, I cannot trust your account. I tell him that I am a Baha'i. I am not going to cheat Baha'u'llah. He said, there are all type of Baha'is. How do I know which type of Baha'i you are? I want you to tell me, am I a Baha'i or not? I said, Mr. Gupta, sorry. You are a wonderful Baha'i, and I don't want at all to fight with you and argue with you about the money. You have declared the Baha'i faith, and you have done a wonderful job. I'm very happy with you. I don't want to become enemy for $10,000. Tell me what you want me to pay you, and I pay you. You are a Baha'i, and I trust you. Anything you say, I will do. He kept quiet. He looked at me. He looked at me. Then he said, Mr. Sahba, you tell me how much money I have to get. I said, no, I cannot say that. You have to say that. It is between you and Baha'u'llah. You have to say what is wrong. You decide what it is. I cannot tell you. If I tell you less, I'm forcing you to contribute. If I say more, it's unfair. Baha'u'llah will be angry with me. You have to tell me what is that. He said, no, you have to tell me. I said, no, you have to tell me. He said, no, you have to tell me. So now we have a serious trouble. I said, Mr. Gupta, don't force me to test you. It's not good for me to test you. I am a tough person. I may say something that you don't like. Then I feel guilty. Please, you decide. He said, no. Anything you say, I agree. I said, no, Mr. Gupta. Anything you say, I agree. He said, no, you have to tell me. I said, okay. In my opinion, 19,000 rupees, 19 is a auspicious amount. Instead of 95,000 rupees, I tell you 19,000 rupees. He kept silent. He thought about it. Then he stood up, he hugged me, and he cried. And he said, now I know I am a good Baha'i. Imagine. That's it. And then finished, all gone. Years later, I was in Haifa. I never asked where is Gupta, what he's doing, what is happening. I don't know. Of course, whenever I went to India for a visit, he would come to the airport to see me. And he was very respectful and all of that. I never asked him what you are doing. Are you a good Baha'i? Are you a bad Baha'i? What are you doing? Nothing. One day in Haifa, he called. And I said, his English is very bad. He talks half Hindi, half. And now I'm not expecting a telephone call in Hindi. So a telephone comes from India. And the reason that everybody tells me, all of my family, they say, why you are shouting at telephone? I said, because for years in India, I'm used to shout. They don't hear you. Telephone, you have to say 100 times, hello, hello, hello. And so now I'm shouting and he's shouting and he says something in Hindi and I don't understand. Who is this? Gupta, Gupta. I said, oh, Gupta, you are Mr. Gupta. He said, yes, Gupta. I said, what do you want? He said, they have asked me to paint the Baha'i house, the Baha'i Haziratul Quds, the Baha'i center. It's in India, they call it Baha'i house. He said, they have asked me to paint Baha'i house. I want to know how much I should get. I said, Mr. Gupta, 10 years have passed. I don't know anything about India now. I don't know what is the price. I don't know what is the rate of exchange. What is this? What is that? It's not correct. You have to quote properly, give a quotation to the National Assembly. They choose. They accept. He said, no, Mr. Sahba. I will never say an amount. You have to tell me amount. Anything you tell me, I will do it. I was so moved. I realized he wants to tell me that I am still goodbye. That was the story of our tonight. Thank you.